This is my reaction to the Tennessee Titans in NFL Week 2 defeating the Houston Texans 20-17. I was at this Titans home opener game, which was also their first division game, and it was also their first game in the record books because NFL preseason games don't count for anything as far as their first home game using the new jerseys. And this was a unforgettable, terrific, or wonderful, entertaining, dramatic, close, exciting game. From start to finish, it was exactly that, and with the exception of it became the close game after, with specification that this became a close game. Everything, it was that from start to finish, except for the whole close game it became is after the Texans scored their first touchdown, which was very damn late in the first half. Getting into the game, this was not at all like my prediction. I predicted that I didn't modify at all. I predicted that the Titans would steamroll the Texans 48-17. Mariota would throw more than 2 touchdowns, and Henry would run for more than 2 touchdowns and more than 105 yards. And Henry did not have a great game as far that I predicted of him running for more than 105 yards. He didn't run for more than 105 yards or even close to that, and he also didn't run for 2 touchdowns, except he was still effective along with Lewis. Mariota wasn't able to throw more than 2 touchdowns or any touchdowns at all because he's not the one that started in this game. Gabbert did. When I read, it seemed like more than possible that Mariota could be starting, but since he was a game time decision, obviously he didn't, and for logical reasons, because with his elbow, no doubt that he wouldn't have been able to throw the ball long range without issues, and would have made it easy to seriously injure him, with more than likely an injury that requires surgery, and maybe end his season. Maybe he'd be out for most or the entire 2018 season. So it's logical why he didn't start. So obviously that didn't happen. And the Titans steamrolling the Texans, that didn't happen since the Titans won 20-17. And it really did appear like the Titans were going to win this. Maybe not score over up 48 points, but it really did look like they were going to steamroll and easily defeat the Texans, no sweat, winning by more than 21 points, since they were easily winning versus the Texans for most of the first half, 14-0, and got started fast, and the Texans were highly contained. Their offense was highly contained out of the end zone. And so, without a doubt, this is one of the best Titans-Texans game. It's the best Titans game I've ever seen. It's the best Titans-Texans. It's one of the best Titans-Texans games. And really, obviously, I wasn't right about those details. Still right about the Titans winning the game. Still right about the Texans only the amount of points they scored, which would be 17. And Titans still won the game, and I traveled more than 100 miles to see the Titans home opener, to see their first game, see their home opener, see their first game using the new uniforms, and see their first division game which was against their hated division rival, the Texans, with a mostly full-strength Texans team, which includes their general and talented, reliable player that is Deshaun Watson. So because the Titans ended up winning, and it was along with it being a unforgettable, terrific, exciting, dramatic, close, exciting game. That's exactly why I'm not frustrated or unhappy with Mariota didn't start. I didn't get these details right, because when you see the team that you're a fan of win, it's really hard to complain about getting those details not right. When you see the team that you're a fan of win, when you travel along with traveling a far distance to see them play a game, specifically a home game. You can see them play on the road, but it's more special to see them play at home and win that home game. And so my reaction to this game, I wasn't anticipating this at all. I had the feeling it wasn't unexpected that this would be that this wasn't the blowout, but it was a close game with Gabbert starting. Except I was astounded. I wasn't expecting this to be one of the best Texans game, and it was exactly that. And start with the defense. The defense was able to play a week after being embarrassed, mainly by the Dolphins. They were able to play effective because for most of this first half, the Titans were shutting out the Texans. Texans, I think if I recall right, they missed a field goal, and even when they had the ball, they weren't able to get in the end zone, and Watson threw a deep pass, and it was in the end zone, the deep part of the end zone, and Titans defender Adoree Jackson, he was able to jump up and catch the ball in the far deep back part of the end zone, and this was his first interception, and it was a terrific interception, since this was in the far deep back part of the end zone and he was moving, and those are some of the toughest interceptions. Those are some of the most challenging interceptions. That is one of the most challenging ways to intercept the ball, to be in the far deep back part of the end zone, along with having to jump up at mostly the right time and catch the ball, all of which he did. And so the Texans were able to score in the first half, except all they got was 7 points. So the Titans were still winning in the first half, 14-7. Then there's the second half. Again, the defense proved effective because the Texans were only able to score one more touchdown, and the other 50% of their offense was the other part of their offense, besides the 2 touchdowns, was 1 field goal. So it gave the Titans a great chance to win, and even with the Titans getting outscored in the second half, it was a minor obstacle. It was a low wall to overcome, because the Titans scored the bulk of their points in the first half of 14, so they didn't have to score that much points. More points in the second half to win this game. 6 points. And that's exactly what they did. The Titans defense was a bend but don't break, since they had to defend when needed, which included holding the Texans to a field goal, along with not just that, but also keeping the Texans from getting a first down, so that they can eat up clock in a tied game at 17-17, and then kick the game-winning field goal, or possibly just get a touchdown, leaving the Titans with not much time left. And that didn't happen, because the Titans defense was able to defend, and not just that, but also they had to defend. They had to defend on the final possession, and they were, even with the Texans having timeouts, because the Texans were in the far back on the other side of the field. They had to use up those timeouts, and the Titans were a bend but don't break. The Texans were moving the ball, except they weren't able to get with. They were moving the ball, and Texans still had to use those timeouts. They still had to use those timeouts before they even got close to midfield. And also, there was or even close to midfield, and it's obvious the Texans wanted to get into field goal range, and they had a high amount of time to actually do that, except there was the big issue with Watson not having the worst time management and using more than 5 seconds on the final play. And obviously they could have got a first down and then spiked the ball, except that's not what they did, because Watson, he held the ball for more than 4 seconds. That ate up a lot of clock, and then when he finally did throw the ball, getting it completed, most of the time had been used, and the Texan wide receiver had been tackled, and the clock expired. So it was the perfect defense for the It was a great way to end the game that the Titans defense was able to defend, including with being helped unintentionally by the Texans, since Watson was holding onto the ball for over 5 seconds before he finally threw it. The Texans were able to get field goal range, but that didn't matter because he held on the ball way too long before finally throwing it, and the Texans weren't able to get up to the line and spike it, since after the throw and after the tackle, time had expired. So it was a impressive, valiant defense by the Titans, with being helped unintentionally by the Texans, specifically Deshaun Watson. So I was not expecting that at all. That's an unforgettable, excellent finish or ending. And then there's the special teams. Suckup, he proved effective and great because he was able to easily kick the 2 extra points for the Titans for their 2 touchdowns. He was also able to repeatedly touchback for kickoffs, and also he had to kick 2 major field goals. That was their entire Titans offense, one to tie the game and one to take the lead, and he did that easily, no sweat. So he was great. And then the offense proved effective because Henry was able to move the ball, including with the Wildcat formation. He had several, or I think he had more than one big run. And Lewis, he was also effective in helping the Titans with moving the ball. So Lewis and Henry were both a dynamite double in this game. Both of them didn't have over 100 yards, but they were both effective. So that's why I'm saying they're the dynamite double in that way, meaning both were effective as far as moving the ball. And Gabbert, it's obvious they weren't going to have him throw a high amount of times, and they wanted to restrict him, and that's exactly what he did. He had to play as a game manager, and that's exactly what he did. Was able to play effective enough for the Titans to win, with completed 13 of 20 passes. And not just that, but also even though he was contained, he was able to make some big plays, including on the Titans' drive to tie the game. He was able to avoid a sack by Watt. He had to make a narrow throw close to the sidelines, and he was able to do that on the Titans' drive to tie the game. So even though he wasn't going to have like the free range that Mariota had with the Dolphins and most other games that he's played, he's still able to make that big play. which was great. Along with not just that, but also he was able to make that big play. So he proved he was a game manager, and he was a great game manager. And also, offense. Davis, he freaking looked great. Including having this catch, and then just freaking had a stiff arm defenders and get the hell out of my way, easily moving him out of his way. So he looked great, Davis. And the Titans, they didn't have to score a high amount of points in the second half, but they were able to move the ball when needed, including one drive to tie the game, another drive to eat up a high amount of clock, which they did, and eat up a high amount of clock, which they did, and then kicking the game-winning field goal. So it was finally the ideal. It finally saw the Tennessee Titans win a home game versus the AFC foe, specifically all of which are AFC South foes, because I saw them play the Jaguars in 2004. It was a decent close game that they weren't able to win because the defense wasn't able to defend when needed, giving up a game-winning touchdown extremely late in the game. And then versus the Colts 2016, it was the same story. Their defense wasn't able to defend when needed. Led the Colts to a game-winning drive with a game-winning touchdown, with the Titans defense not able to defend when needed, and that drive used up more than two. It was over 1 minute. Used up a high amount of clock, and to make it even worse, then the Titans, they weren't able to move down. They still had a chance with a high amount of time to still win the game, but that was removed when Mariota, there was a fumble caused, and then the Colts were able to return that fumble for a touchdown to put the dagger in the heart, or seal the defeat for the Titans. So the Titans finally broke through. Third time's the charm, third game's the breakthrough, because the defense finally was effective, including defended when needed. They didn't give up the game-winning play, including on the final drive versus the Texans, because they didn't have a high amount of time. They didn't have a high amount of time to get the ball into the end zone or to kick a game-tying field goal. So that is a primary reason, along with the Titans playing great for most of this game, playing great as a team for most of the game, with offense, defense, and special teams. So for this being third game as the breakthrough, as far as me seeing the Titans at home defeating AFC foe, I was confident that would happen, but I did not anticipate that this would be one of the greatest Texans games, along with how exactly it would end, and along with the Titans using a fake punt to score a touchdown, and along with that throw to Taylor and most of the Texans defenders. Oh yeah, almost forgot about that. It was also great that the Titans, Gabbert, he was able to make a great throw to Taylor, and then most of the Texans defenders looked like they forgot how to tackle because they were all chasing him, and he just easily ran into the end zone. So again, that was another great pass. That was another great pass by Gabbert that had the great result of Taylor easily running into the end zone. So it was just a great team win for the Titans that played effectively as a team. They were a four tires car moving 100 miles per hour, because the defense was a bend but don't break, effectively defended, including when needed most. The offense was able to protect the ball since they had no turnovers. And the Titans also won the turnover battle game. And the offense was able to score. Titans scored a touchdown. They also were able to move the ball and score a game-tying field goal, a game-winning field goal, which included eating up a high amount of clock so that the Texans wouldn't have a high amount of time to move the ball to get it in the end zone for a game-winning touchdown. They also wouldn't have a high amount of time to making it more likely that they would have to get into field goal range and kick the game-winning field goal. The game-tying field goal. And the special teams, they didn't give up any big play. Suckup that was able to hit the game-tying field goal, the game-winning field goal, and 2 extra points before that. And also the Titans, that's fake. That excellent fake punt. It wasn't planned as a fake punt, but the Titans saw that there was no Texans defender on the right, and the Titans took advantage. They snapped the ball. Bayer throws it to a Titan wide receiver, a Titan defender playing. It was a wide receiver on that play, and he easily ran into the end zone for a touchdown. Was not anticipating that at all. It was astounding, unforgettable, and excellent. So it was just a great team win for the Titans. It was not easy, it was challenging, and adversity reveals character, and the Titans clearly showed that they can win a tough, challenging game against a formidable adversary, which was a mostly full-strength Texans team. And that is, I also got this hat from the stadium, Titans cap, that has the blue flame and black on it. It was just a unforgettable, excellent, exciting adventure in Nashville for the game, for seeing the Titans defeat the Texans 20-17.